I don't hear the music no more. I don't know when it's back, when it started, or anything. I need some headphones.
That is what you need, mate. You need to get with the times.
I'm an old man now, and I'm in my 40s.
It's a bit of a random one we've jumped on today, mate. It's very spontaneous and wasn't planned, but after the events of this week, it seemed like it was a good thing to do, and we can also have a quick Wolves preview while we're here, I suppose.
In Doodle, obviously yesterday weren't planned. In fact,
hold that thought, mate. I've got to jump off for 1 second. Hold the ship.
No worries. Howdy all. I can't respond because I ain't admin to write into the messages, but hope you're all good. Afternoon, True Claret and Blue. Afternoon, Liam, Gareth, Jay. Hello, James. Nikki, thank you. Lee, hope you're good. How are you all feeling about Sunday? Anyone confident? Good. We ain't really touching it loads, but we have a little bit. Good result for us in the week. Hello, Rick. Hope you're well, mate. Yeah, good result for us in the week. Good performance, Gary. How you doing? Hope you're well. I'm missing everyone. Hello, all. Oi, 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 oi. All is good. Yeah, good result in the week for us, I thought. Good performance, solid again. Our chairman come out and said yesterday that was our reserve, or the day before it was our reserve team. So it's nice to know we've got good backup. Just need to get it in the first team now. Thoughts on ribs, mate? I love ribs. Look at the size of me. I love ribs, mate. We never beat Wolves. Do you know, it's bad and we shouldn't be defeated like that, but Wolves 21-20 I think is a huge price, massive price. I watched that, and the reason I say that, Frankie, sorry, I'll just finish this. The reason I say that is because I watched them against City, and that second half they had City on the back ropes, and they're obviously bigger and better than us. I hope we go and win, but I think 21-20, I think Man City are a great price. Chelsea Fan TV.
I've just double-checked the news, mate. They reckon Chelsea have agreed personal terms with Mr. Declan Rice.
And apparently Rice is pushing through. Don't know. Who knows? Who knows what's happening? I'm sure it will come to light.
Come on, Baz. Give us a percentage. What do you think? If you was to call it now, percentage-wise of Declan Rice going, you've sort of been a bit 50-50. Where does it sit with you now?
Well, Declan Rice leaving West Ham?
Yeah.
100%.
You think 100% he's going like this window?
No. See, that's... No.
I'm talking this window. You've always said 50-50. You've always sat on the fence with it. Where do you think it is now?
I think it's a 75% chance he'll go. But I think Chelsea have been really, really clever, if I'm honest, and done their other business first on clubs that ain't going to be sat there scratching, holding, waiting, praying, begging. And I think they know deep down West Ham probably are. For the chairman to be on the radio, if you're to do with Chelsea and you hear the West Ham chairman on TalkSport, because no other chairman at any other football club has been out on anything in the media world to tell us how skint they are and how tough it is. Ours have. To have that come out publicly, which people would hear, why would Chelsea not wait until the very, very last day and say, we give you that? Because they know they're going to accept it. And do you know what I hope they do? Because it's what West Ham have done to Burnley and then made a statement after saying we can't spend all our budget on one person or a massive percentage. I hope Chelsea come in. If West Ham value Declan Rice at 50 million quid for him, say, I hope they come in and offer us 28, 27, 28. And I know I do. And I hope they get him for about 35. I really do. I hope that's what happens. And that will just go to prove up exactly what they're all about.
I get what your point is, mate. At the end of the day...
Sorry, quickly. I've just seen Fitz's comment. Wayne, look, it is gone. Even Gav took a screenshot the other day. and he drew a line round my head. I've had it, mate. I'm an old man now. It's gone, mate.
I mean, even it would be nice for them to get a bit of a taste of their own medicine, mate. You know, the way that they play their transfer bids is nothing short of insulting, mate. And I think other clubs have got bored of it, to be honest with you. And I think when he's saying he's depressed, it's because they don't listen to his games no more. They don't entertain these silly bids and then try and haggle with him. I think a lot of them just laugh him off and just go away now, to be honest. And
yeah, I think you're right.
You know, I genuinely think that's how he is. So, you know, will he get a bit of a taste of his own medicine? Maybe. But for West Ham, in the best interests of West Ham United, we need to get the maximum amount possible for him. And it would seem like it's around that sort of 55 million, the figure that was bounded around a lot at the beginning when the links were first made. And I think that's probably likely to be roughly where it is. But even then, I think it's too cheap, mate. I think it's way, way, way too cheap. Again, we're going to get rid of one of our best young prospects for nowhere near enough money. If Daniel James and players like that and Maguire and players that go for how much money they do, why can't we go and get the right money for Declan Rice? It's crazy. I'm interested to see with Chelsea Fan TV in the chat, you know, if it... What price tag do you put on him? If it was 55, would you want him? And if it was 80, would you want him? It would be interesting to know what you boys think. And by the way, Chelsea Fan TV, if you want to jump in this video now, I'll send you a link and you can come in and talk Declan Rice if you want, mate. I'm more than happy to send out a link. If you email claretandbluearmytv@gmail.com, then we'll send you a link back to you and you can jump in and talk Declan Rice, mate.
I've seen a couple of comments that have come up from what we've said, and people saying X is saying it ain't true. What X has said is no deal's been agreed, and he's not pushing for a move, and that's because Chelsea ain't made a formal bid. That's what I think X is cleared up for people. I don't think it's been a big secret that he wants to go there. That's probably the wrong word to say. I don't think it's a secret Declan Rice would like to play for Chelsea again. I think he feels he's got unfinished business. I ain't convinced it will be now, but it wouldn't surprise me, that's for sure. If it's not now, I do definitely think it will be January or whenever the window is, because I don't know exactly when. But as a fan now, what they should do, in my opinion, is, you know, they've got that Gilmore, who looked a real good player. If you're going to let him go, Gilmore's going to get pushed back. You know, tell him there's first team football at West Ham. See what Chelsea would say to that. I don't think they will. I thought he'd have been part of a deal for Batshuayi, who's left. Hudson-Odoi maybe, who not going to feature. Maybe a centre-back. I don't know. All on that, this will probably be West Ham's reasoning now for getting their free signings. So when they say there are signings coming, I probably think it will be because of this deal. And it might be that it's part exchange with money. And that's what our new signings will be. I don't think the bids we got in for people, I don't believe them. And that's the problem. I don't believe nothing anymore, whether they're in or not. When I say I don't believe them, I don't believe they're going to come off, because I don't believe we're realistic with our bidding. You know, and to hear Sullivan say that he only rates him at this amount, who's he to judge? And this is what I was saying yesterday on Talk Sport when I got the call to go in there. Who's David Sullivan to judge? You know, if that's the case, what's his price for Marko Arnautovic? What's signing a player in Haksabanovic that your managers don't even know about just to get the player in the club? You know, and that's for a reason, you know, and we know what the reason was, an agent. So, I don't know. I don't think Lampard would be silly enough to let his better players go. I don't think his better players would want to join West Ham. Gilmore, I think, he's a young lad still. I think you'd have a chance. I'm not saying Lampard would want to lose him, but he might turn around and say you can have him for a year's loan or something like that. But I don't know, mate. I'm not convinced he'll stay. I do think he'll go. When is the biggest question for me? I'm not 100% sure he'll go now. I think it's more likely he'll go than not, but I don't know. Not sure. Chelsea Fan TV, you coming on?
It's a tough one for me, mate. I was quite surprised yesterday when somebody put out a poll, which was, would you like to see all cash? Would you like to see part cash and a player, or a small amount of cash and a few players? And more people sided towards a decent chunk of cash and a player. And I've never really got that whole exchange a player in a transfer deal kind of thing, mate. At the end of the day, I want people to sign for West Ham because they want to play for West Ham, not because they was wrapped up in part of a deal and said, go on, off you go, mate. I want people who want to come and play for West Ham United. So for me, I would much rather have seen all cash, go and get who we want, and people who actually want to come and play for West Ham United. For me, it's,
Yeah, that's not what, mate, is in it. You can talk on the mic, that's fine. And your question regarding Declan Rice, his family are Chelsea fans, as is Declan Rice. Let's not forget that. Mate, you're right. And that's why I never once wanted Batshuayi. As much as we want to forward, I never wanted him. He's refused us 3-4 times, hasn't he? Why would we want him now? And it'd be a case now it's forced for him. And just to clear and to clarify again a few things. One, there's no information from me regarding Declan Rice. I don't and would never talk Declan Rice's business on it, and don't know it, if I'm going to be honest with you, because I don't ask him regarding that. And two, I don't begrudge him the move either. Years ago, I'd hated to have seen players leave West Ham to join Chelsea, Tottenham, whatever. With Declan Rice, I'd be gutted if he left us for Spurs, just because of the connections with the club. Not so gutted him leaving to go to Chelsea. I think the boy should go and better himself. Whether it's
what
now,
I want to ask you, mate, is all of that's all well and good, but what position, if Declan Rice goes before the end of this transfer window and we haven't got any time to bring in any other players, we might get that Fofana. Say Fofana comes in and Declan Rice goes, and that's the only bit of business that happens between now and the end of the transfer window. How much trouble does that leave West Ham in, if any?
Huge, massive, in my opinion, because again, we're an injury away from being in trouble. I've seen talk this week of dropping Declan Rice into the back three. It does strengthen it. I agree, it does, but then it weakens your midfield. Now, and I ain't one of these to weaken one position to strengthen the other. This is how short we are, and I said this yesterday on TalkSport again. I keep going on about it. David Sullivan boasted that we have 8 wingers at the football club. If we've got 8 wingers, I want to know why. Why have we got 8 wingers and only 2 fullbacks? And selling fullbacks. We sold a fullback in Ngakia, let's not forget. And we've only had Cresswell at left back, because Masuaku is not a left back, as he said. His own words, he said it. We've only had Cresswell for years. Yes, we had Zabaleta, Ryan Fredericks, Ngakia, Johnson. But why have we... Now we haven't. Zabaleta's gone and Ngakia's gone. So we've got Johnson, Fredericks, and Cresswell. 3 wingers... 3 fullbacks for 2 positions. And that's what he'll rely on. He will rely on Johnson being versatile to play left or right. Now, he wants to blame these managers. He's okayed all these transfers to bring in all these other players. He's given them the green light to sign this winger, to sign that winger. We know, the 8 wingers is false. We have not got 8 wingers. We have, when he includes Fornals, Lanzini, Antonio in them positions. But we know they're not wingers. I'm saying Antonio, he's being played as a forward. We know Lanzini and Fornals are not wingers. We know Anderson's not, but that's where he's being played. So it's just all false news. He's allowed, if he wants to slag managers off for, like he did with Pellegrini, about the signings, but boast that he signed Diop and Fabianski, he needs to be held responsible for what the green light he gave to signing all them wingers and not having a balanced squad at West Ham. I would have touched on this yesterday on TalkSport. Unfortunately, time ran out. Jim White did message me after, as you know, and I'll read out his message actually, just so people know, so that it ain't no rubbish being spoken. And he put, "You spoke really well, mate. Thank you. We'll definitely speak to you soon." He sent me on this message, the message I was after on this phone, sorry. that I was after, which is when we was chasing him. He put here, Simon Jordan thought you spoke really well too, as did I. Your tone was perfect. We will definitely have you back on sooner rather than later. So the reason why I didn't go on there, just so people know, and I've seen some comments and I respect that. And please, if there's anything that people want to be asked or want to ask, let us know. Because if I can get it forward, I will. Obviously, there's a time limit. Someone said David Sullivan got more exposure than you. Well, that's because he's the chairman of West Ham. You know, he gets bigger numbers than what little old me would get. Sorry, super fan me would get. Cheers for that. If there's anything people want to be asked, I'll do it. And, you know, people have slagged Jim White off. Jim White, I promise you, Frankie, you'll back me up because I was talking to you. Jim White called me yesterday morning. Will you come on? Will you come on and talk and be real without being angry, X, Y, Z? Which I done. And that's why we had the conversation. I could have gone on there, effed and blinded, everything in the world. We would never have got another opportunity. We need to be real. We need to be consistent. Keep putting the message out there. Whether he cut me off or not at times, I'll be honest with you, I don't think he did. I really don't think Jim White cut me off. I think we run out of time.
I think people's point is, mate, is he sets it up cleverly. So you only get to speak about the subjects that he wants you to speak about. But you've done well to try and divert it back to things that you wanted to talk about. But you can only do... And if you would have kept on doing that, then he would have cut you off. Yeah. So you have to play their game a little bit. So it is difficult, mate. But I still think yesterday he probably gave... Don't get me wrong, I can't stand the fella, ain't a bit of me. I think he's properly on the side of the board, and he clearly has been a puppet for the board for a long time. And he has got an agenda. But I would say that yesterday he probably gave a West Ham fan more of a platform than a West Ham fan had had since we've been having these issues. He did allow you to say about the interest payments. He did allow you to say some negative things. It wasn't like you was shot down and chucked out.
Yeah, and this is my point. If he was cutting me off, and we said this yesterday, mate, there's no way in a million years, after he announced David Gold's speech that he made, he would have allowed me back on. Because he knew what was going to come from me. He knew it full well. I thought I was going to get cut off at that point permanently. He let me come back on to respond when I said what I did. Yes, mate, of course, I'd have loved to have said a lot more. And I hope one day I will, and I'll get the opportunity. I'm sure I will. I think we'll go back on. I think it gives us a chance of getting him on here where maybe his agenda won't be so strong as maybe it is with TalkSport. Who knows? You know, rightly or wrongly, TalkSport is all about viewers, numbers, people calling in. We don't know what he's told to say or do. Maybe he has to play that way at times and be completely pro-ball, for argument's sake. Not saying it's the right thing, but maybe that's what he has to do. You know, and if so, then, you know, I'm not going to call him all the names under the sun. Do I agree with what he says? Not at all. But I'm not scared or shy to tell him what I actually think. And you heard it, because when I was on the phone to him yesterday, I was at it with you at the same time off my other phone, so you could hear it too, and you knew what was coming. So these things, it's steps, mate. And if we go in there straight away, OTT, you ain't going to get anywhere. Again, and someone messaged me last night saying, do I think that the chairman would have listened to it last night? Do you reckon it was sent up? And I don't think it was set up because David Sullivan asked that at all, because it wouldn't have been me that they rung and asked and spoke to. However, I do think things would be relayed. 100% I do. And I don't think that people are going to listen to me, and I don't want people to listen to me. It's not my place to say what West Ham fans want and what we don't. You know, there's 60,000 of you go to the stadium. You know, everyone's entitled to have their say, not just me. And what I say doesn't go with X, Y, Z. So when you get some of the crap comments you get as well.
Well, I think that's why we asked yesterday before you went on. Is there any questions people want us to ask? Before you actually got on the show and before you got on the line, we actually put it out there to try and, you know, add in some of the questions that people wanted us to ask. It isn't about, and you go on. It ain't about me sitting there going, "Oh, Baz, I want to go on TalkSport." It ain't about anybody. It ain't about you, me, no one else. It's about West Ham United, and it's about us getting our message across, and people, that the whole of supporters, football supporters in general, understanding what we're going through. And there's such an agenda to try and make us seem like we're expecting too much, and we're expecting the world, and we're being like, we're over exaggerating everything, and there isn't lies, and they're not taking money, and all this sort of rubbish. And it's about time people knew the truth, mate, because at the end of the day, it needs to be heard. And by going on yesterday and doing it in a manner that was, while you got your point across, it wasn't over emotional, it wasn't swearing and spluttering and everything else. It was done in a way that hopefully you'll get another chance to go on and have even more of a say next time. So that, if we would all love to jump on there, call Jim the names we'd like to call him, call everyone else on that show what we'd like to call them, and put the world to rights. But that ain't gonna achieve anything, is it, mate? So
and I think the second you do that is the second you lose any credibility and any opportunity again to be able to voice your thing. I don't know. And as I say, I appreciate all the feedback. I do. There was hundreds and hundreds of positive comments. There was also negative. And to be fair, when you put yourself on that platform, you've got to accept the negative, because not everyone's going to agree with you. And again, I respect that. But I just want to make it clear. I talk for myself. I don't talk for every single fan. I express opinions that I hear. I ask people what they want to be said. So if I said something on TalkSport yesterday that maybe some fans don't agree with, it's not making me right and you all wrong. And I'm not speaking on your behalf. I answered the questions from my heart. I asked a couple of things that, or mentioned and didn't ask. I mentioned a few things that were put to us. And I always will. If I can help, I always will. That's the way I am. It's the way I've always been. And I ain't going to change. But I do appreciate Jim. I appreciate TalkSport for giving us the opportunity yesterday, and I hope that a lot more of the public heard yesterday, and our word and the bad times for us fans is spreading around. Why? Because what we haven't heard before, in my opinion, and which TalkSport presenters always seem to ask is, what do West Ham fans expect to be? I'm sure they've got in their head that we all expect to be league contenders and trophy winners.
Well, we've got someone here right now, mate, of someone that David Sullivan actually mentioned as an owner of a football club, and he mentioned Roman Abramovich and how much resources he's got available to him, and we could never live with that man. So obviously with the Declan Rice stuff that's going on, let's get the gent into the show and see what he's got to say on things, mate. Welcome.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm all right.
Good.
You carry on.
So really, mate, just want to get your feelings really on Declan Rice. I think there's, from what we can see, and with the posts that come out, we see some Chelsea fans who are saying we don't want you at the club. We're seeing some Chelsea fans that think he's well overpriced, and we've got others that think he's exactly what you need and the last piece of the jigsaw, really, from all the signings you've made so far this year. What's your take on it?
I think we need him. He's that leader that we need. We definitely need a defensive midfielder, because all the time we're always, like, remember when we played against you, Chelsea versus West Ham, and we were all over the place. We just need that midfielder just to keep the transition on the right place. And also, our Chelsea fan, I think, like West Ham fans base, is super divided.
Yeah.
Who would he come into your team for? Jorginho?
Yeah, 100% Jorginho.
Really?
I feel like, yeah, Jorginho. Do you guys rate Jorginho?
Mate, it's difficult because us rating a player is different to you because of the levels. We for argument's sake, we'd rate, I'm going to give an example, Lanzini 4 years ago. Chelsea fans probably wouldn't, because he wouldn't get into their team. But for us, he was a good player. Some people didn't, or top clubs didn't rate Payet, but he was like the best we had seen for a very long time. We rate Di Canio, but Chelsea fans will tell you Zola's 500 times better. You know what I mean? So it's difficult for us to rate like you lot. Do I rate Jorginho? I do. Do I think he's a title-winning player? I don't. But then I didn't think that of Jordan Henderson either, if I'm honest, or Wijnaldum. So I think a lot of it depends on who's around him. But I do like Jorginho. if I'm honest with you, I think Declan Rice is brilliant. I think Declan Rice will get better and better with good coaches around him and better players around him. But I do rate Jorginho, I must admit.
I just feel like Declan Rice has the way more better over Jorginho, because like Jorginho, you don't understand. He's like a system player. He's not really. You can't play him. You have to play him in the right system. But now we have Lampard, and we're like all about the pressing, and Jorginho just passing, and he's really slow when in the transition.
Yeah, is that where you want to see Declan Rice play? Do you want to see him in that role that Jorginho's been playing, or there's obviously been a lot of talk about him playing centre back? Is that somewhere what you'd consider?
I don't really like the centre back idea, because I feel like we already have Thiago Silva with Zuma at the back, so I feel like he's going to play as a defensive midfielder or in a pivot.
Yeah, I mean, from us, when we see Declan Rice play at centre half, and obviously he started off his career there, a lot of our fans tend to think he is a better centre half sometimes than he is a midfielder, because he's lacked that bit of dynamic of pushing forward and sort of supporting with forward passing and assists and coming from deep. He's not really someone who gets on the edge of the box and contributes, when you're going forward. But however, since Souček come into our club, Declan Rice almost had the reins taken off of him. He just was bombing forward. He did contribute with a goal, and he started to look a lot more of a presence when you was going forward as well. So it's a difficult one for me. I just think, for Chelsea, I think you do lack a little bit of cover at the back there sometimes. And I don't know, even though Thiago Silva's come in, he hasn't played so far. Is that just because of lack of fitness, or is there an injury issue there?
Due to lack of fitness, because obviously he played a Champions League final a few weeks ago. So if you just get him to training, he might be playing tomorrow against West Brom.
Okay. That would be interesting.
There's been a lot of talk about money and players. There's been talk of 2 or 3 players and money for him. If Chelsea were to get rid of the players, I mean, we've seen Barkley linked, we've seen Hudson-Odoi linked, Zuma, Tomori. Who would be the likely players to be forced out of Chelsea?
Probably Barkley, because I feel like Zuma's now going to be the main centre back. Tomori's not going to leave because Rudiger, I think he's linked with West Ham as well. I saw a link to West Ham as well. Yeah. So, because there's West Ham are linked to Robin Loftus-Cheek as well. So I think he might be going on loan to you guys, because X said it as well. He said that the West Ham are keen on him. So he might be leaving and he might be joining you. I feel like there's going to be something into that with the Rice deal.
We've Loftus-Cheek.
Interesting.
Yeah, because X said that you're keen on him, so I feel like you might be moved in.
What's his best position as a Chelsea fan? What would you tell us?
Don't say a winger.
He's not a winger. He's like he can play as a number 8. He's really good. He's that
a player or a ball winner.
He's basically the person that creates stuff. He can dribble. He's really good dribbler. He can just go. And
this is exactly, mate, I don't want to cut you off. This is exactly what worries me. We'll swap a defensive midfielder, a CDM, for a number 8 and some money. This is just terrible business. Now, if we're going to allow, exactly my point, mate. If we were going to allow him to join you, we shouldn't be said you can have him, or him. We should say you can have him, but we want him who's going to fall out your side. And I mentioned it earlier, Gilmour, for example. Mate, I don't think Lampard will let him go. But he can't keep Gilmour, Jorginho, Kante, Kovacic. He can't keep them all.
Yeah, that's what we need to learn.
And we need, if we're going to allow Declan Rice to leave because we can't afford the bids, we have to be strong and we have to say, that's fine, but we want this person in return. And if we don't do that, which, mate, I don't trust our owners, and I'm not blaming Chelsea, I'm blaming West Ham here. If we don't do that, we got big trouble. Daniel, you're quite right. We could convert Souček into a CDM. I don't disagree with you. But we could convert Declan Rice into a centre-back, but it weakens the position. And this is the problem the whole time. We give away to convert, to accommodate. It's what we can't do. We need to be strong as a football club. There's Declan Rice. You really want him. We need to sell him. We want Gilmour. We want Jorginho. We want whoever, Kante, Kovacic, whoever. We want one of them players in return to cover that position and the money. He's too good for us, and that one is better than the one you've got, so we'll have him. But I'll be honest with you as well, and I think Kent put it in here earlier on. Declan Rice is that good. and I mean that good. I watched Man City Wolves last week. Wolves were all over Fernandinho and Rodri in midfield. Declan Rice would get into that midfield. Believe me, he would get into that midfield. If you get him, you're getting a snap.
I think everyone don't appreciate him that much because he plays for West Ham.
It's
I feel
true.
like when he joins Chelsea and he starts playing against Champions League clubs, everyone's going to appreciate how good he is.
Yeah.
100%. And like you said before, Baz, he will get better with better players around him. The problem is with us, he's always looking over his shoulder trying to cover someone. When he plays with Mark Noble alongside him, he's always trying to cover Mark Noble. He's always making sure Mark Noble, hasn't gone, and he's got to sit in and make sure that, because he knows Noble's not going to be able to get back fast enough, so he's got to sit in now. He's always trying to cover someone, whether it be a left back that's struggling. I mean, we've played against Wolves with Adama Traore, and Declan Rice has basically had to support the left back for the entire game to try and help him, stop Adama Traore. So he's always having to look over his shoulder and cover other people. If you've got him in a team where he hasn't got to do that and he can just play his own game, you'll see his level increase massively. And to be honest, I think there's no better person to actually really develop his career than Frank Lampard. I think it's a perfect match, really. I think he'll go from strength to strength.
How old are you, mate?
15.
So you wouldn't really remember the like Makaleli that well?
Nah.
Mate, that man bastard. He was, honestly, you ask Chelsea fans older than you, he was class. And I think all West Ham fans will tell you that too. I ain't speaking out of turn when I tell you Declan Rice could be as good as Makaleli was for you if he was played in that position. He wouldn't need to get carried away and going and trying up the other end of the pitch. That boy is that good. And with the right coaching and the right people around him, Makaleli would be forgotten for Declan Rice in 7, 8, 9 years' time. I honestly believe that. He is that good.
So the thing that I want to ask, we've obviously mentioned that we'd rather a player and some money, and that seems to be the general point of view from West Ham fans. Who have you got there that you think would actually want to sign for West Ham and play for West Ham because they're not getting near the Chelsea side? And who would you tip for the person to go in the other direction? Who do you think Chelsea are thinking, right, we'll line them up and they'll go to West Ham?
I got a few. I got Barkley. I mean, he's talented, but he's so inconsistent. And I feel like he could do good. He could revive his career at West Ham. Also got Rudiger. He's not going to play anymore in that team. And Lampard doesn't like him. And I think you guys need a centre back, so I think he could join as well. So I think they're the two main players.
That's interesting. I can see Rudiger actually. I think he'd suit alongside Ogbonna. I can see that. I can definitely see that. That's interesting. No, I'm not saying I want it. I wouldn't, but I can see it happening.
I don't disagree, but weren't Rudiger part of... No, he weren't. It was Zuma. No, Rudiger, he was part of the squad at Brighton, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was, but he's been dropped for 2 games now. And it's also been by Matt Law. He said that Lampard doesn't want him anymore. He's been offered to other clubs, such as PSG.
Because I'll be honest, I thought Barkley would have been the fullback. And I'll be honest with you as well, the one who surprised me, who keeps getting starts, is Mason Mount. I didn't think Mason Mount would have started as much with all the players you've signed. I thought he would have been the fullback. I'm not saying he's a bad player at all.
Lampard favours him, but I understand he has that pressing. He has that energy that always helps the team.
Yeah, I do.
In the 90 minutes.
I do, but I just thought he would have been the fullback because you can't.
We got so many talented players.
Yeah,
but a lot of your players that you've brought in haven't really played yet.
Yeah,
I know Werner's started playing, but you haven't seen much as yet. Ziyech haven't seen, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. Because I've got a lodger here who's a Liverpool fan, and I was looking forward to the Liverpool-Chelsea game because I wanted to see what you had in terms of the new players, and there weren't hardly any of them there, and I was like, well, they're all missing. So I don't think we've seen the best of the Chelsea new boys yet. And
not yet.
So it'll be interesting to see what sort of season you have. I think on paper, you look at it, you should be a real force, and you should really challenge for, certainly top 3, top 4 with no problem at all. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how you go. Are you happy with the business that you've done?
Yeah, I'm really happy with the business so far. Obviously, I feel like Rice is not. We don't really need him. It's just that extra guy that Lampard wants.
Yeah.
If you don't, If you don't really need him, will he not start for you?
Yeah, he will start for us. I feel like rotation is key, but I think he will start for us because I feel like he can be a future captain 100% with that mentality of him.
Yeah. And you're building a side there where you've brought in foreign talent, but you've also got a real good core base of English players as well, which that's good to see. And that's what it should be all about. So I think Lampard's doing, we've obviously got a lot of history with Lampard, and I'm not sure he's on any West Ham fans' Christmas card list, but I think, you have to look at him and admire what he's trying to do. He's trying to play the right football. He's trying to build something for the future now. Are you a Lampard fan? Do you think he's going to take Chelsea to the levels that you expect?
He has insane pull. Loads of players want to join him. So obviously he's one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. So I feel like everyone can see he's building a team. And obviously Rice obviously wants to join as well. You can see his family's a Chelsea fan and he's a Chelsea fan himself. And I feel like he has a point to prove, obviously getting removed at a young age.
Yeah, and how does that sit with you? Is it a bit bittersweet that you've got to pay out all this money for him?
We have so many, but Kevin De Bruyne, we always lose so many good young players, and obviously we have one of the best academies in the world. It's always going to happen. But Rice coming back, I feel like it's just destined to happen.
Oh, for sure, mate. And we all know if it don't happen now, it will certainly happen soon. And to be honest, you can see a sort of a deal being agreed in principle if it's not allowed to be sanctioned this year and go through this year, because I think if we lost him, it would make life very difficult for us. You could certainly see him agreeing terms for a year's time, for example.
Yeah, I can see that as well. When I saw West Ham playing against Arsenal, you weren't playing bad. Everyone says you're going to get relegated, but I don't really see a relegation side there.
Mate, I'll be honest with you. As a West Ham fan, I appreciate that comment. And you're right, they did play quite well. But, as a Chelsea fan, with certain games, we up our game. Like we did with you. And we don't.
London derbies.
And that's the thing, last year, like we'll beat Chelsea and then we'll go and lose to whoever's bottom of the league. We'll go and have a great performance, a dreadful performance against Newcastle. And then we go and have a great performance against Arsenal, still get nothing. And then we go and play Wolves. And it will be so typical West Ham to go and be dreadful again.
I feel like
you think to yourself, where was last week's performance gone? And the reason, in my opinion, why it will be dreadful is because the important changes won't come. And that falls back to your manager. And it's nothing personal against David Moyes. And I'll keep repeating this. The man's outdated. The man's not good for football now. There comes a time, like Plato, he's gone and he's back. Like players, you have to retire because you can't do it any longer. And I feel that's where we are with David Moyes. It's not a personal dig. It's just, in my opinion, reality. A good, hungry, up-to-date manager would know when to make certain changes, know how to keep players who are confident going. He pulled out Haller and Anderson after scoring the week before or that week in the Cup. Now, they've done it again. Yarmolenko, what's he going to do with them? Because someone's going to pay for it somewhere. We're West Ham, mate. We ain't a luxury side that can keep swapping and changing our squad around and trying to make people happy. We need to. It's
interesting, mate, because Lampard has had a few iffy results since his reign at Chelsea, and he hasn't had an amazing run. He's not pulled up many miracles so far. And how does that sit with you? Have the Chelsea fans ever felt any negativity towards him? He is. Yeah,
he's
so
always
that's
get criticised
interesting
in the fan base, but I feel like he's only like 3 years in his manager career. Like everyone, Arsenal side, they have Arteta, but he's been with Pep Guardiola, so obviously he learned a few things. But Lampard is new, so he's obviously gonna have so much mistakes in games. Like Sheffield United was dreadful. And
I think our point is I would rather us make mistakes than sit there and do nothing. What David Moyes chooses to do is do nothing, because it is almost like he doesn't actually know what to do himself. So he just sort of goes, I won't bother making a change. And that that hurt us in the Arsenal game. When we had them on the ropes, we didn't have that ambition to go for the kill and finish them off. So at least Lampard does try things, and if he gets it wrong, then that's fine. But it would be nice to see you stick with him and give him that chance to build something and prove himself. And like you say, he's going to make mistakes. He's only a few years into his managerial career. But I think the problem is Chelsea are going to want results, mate, as they always do, and so they should, especially with the sort of money they're spending at the moment. So if you don't get Champions League football this year and it sort of, doesn't happen with all the money you spent, can you see Lampard being under fire, or do you think he'll be given time?
He'll get sacked. I mean, it's Roman Abramovich, He sacked loads of good managers that came like second. So do you think he's going to be nice to Lampard after spending so much money this summer? So Lampard obviously knows he's a winning man. He has a winning mentality. So he knows he has to get results.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, thanks for joining us, mate. I do really appreciate it.
Yeah, right,
thank you. Appreciate it, buddy.
Goodbye.
Cheers, mate.
Right, mate. Thank you. Yeah, Dan, you are right, mate. It is to do with the board. Why we got a manager like that? I don't say any different at all, and it does come back, in my opinion, all the time to two people when we have problems, and that's the two that own the football club. Mate, what you've just said there about Lampard is so right. Any other manager at Chelsea now would be sacked, and there'd have been a new one. 100%. It's only because he is Frank Lampard, and like mate has just said, it's Abramovich. He will sack him. Mate, them Chelsea fans have a key part. Look how they was with Conte. That they have to take blame. And the hard thing is,
I think that's the difference, mate. What you're saying there, we don't expect much.
Yeah,
but Chelsea fans probably expect too much, and that's the problem.
Times, but and mate, I've said this before, and this is what I was trying to get out yesterday. Again, going back to talk sport, when people say, "What do West Ham expect?" I've never once believed or expected West Ham to be in the Champions League, move into the stadium. And I've said this before, Arsenal chairman can't guarantee his fans that they will be in the Champions League. Tottenham's chairman cannot guarantee their supporters that they'll be in the Champions League. That league's tough. The only people who probably can is Liverpool and Man City. The rest is just open. Manchester United, Man United, the biggest club in England, cannot guarantee their supporters we'll be in the Champions League next year. So I never bought into that. That was a hope. That wasn't a promise. That was a hope. And wishful thinking. Chelsea fans have had good times.
But we can trust them, mate. We can trust them.
Could trust us that we would deliver a world-class stadium where the seats were close to the pitch.
We can trust them, can't we?
My seat close to the pitch. Have you seen the new seating? It looks further away, in my opinion. Are you playing with your new gadget? Yeah, it's difficult. Let's get on to Sunday's game anyway, because it's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough, but there's also a lot of. I don't think if you asked every single West Ham fan now what the lineup should be, I think you'd get a massive variation of players in different positions and different starting 11s. I don't think anyone can call what the right starting lineup and formation is for the weekend, mate. It's for a change. We've actually, I've always said I think David Moyes will just line up because he only knows one thing. I can't predict what he's going to do this game. How do you think he's going to play it?
I don't know what he's going to do, and I can't even begin to try and think for him, because if I was thinking for him, mate, I'd be probably in 1964. But what I'll do is I'm going to give you my opinion. I think we shouldn't. I've said this for a long time, and I know we've done it in the last couple of games. Play with a back three. And with what we've got available, I would play. People are going to disagree with me, but if with what we've got available, and I don't think it's perfect, but I'd play for it, I would play with Ogbonna, Balbuena, and Cresswell. Now, the reason I'd do it is because I think we need double security on the left if Traore starts. And I'm
all for the back three, but it wouldn't be Balbuena and Cresswell.
Well, I don't think many people would start Cresswell in the three. And I've said before, I wouldn't either. I don't think it's ideal for that. However, I'm fearing for Saturday. Without having Diop, I'm fearing. And I don't want to put one of the youngsters in there and be exposed. I think we need to be a little bit cautious down the left. I'd have Masuaku as left wing back, and I'd have Fredericks at right, with Rice and Surchek. And honestly, and I say this all the time, Declan Rice will not be allowed to cross that halfway line. And he will have to be that extra cover with Cresswell for the attack of Traore, for example. Then that would leave me Haller, Antonio, and Bowen. That would be my side.
Bowen starting on the right, Antonio on the left.
More central because it'd be the 5.
Or are you playing 2 up top with one of them in behind, Bowen in behind the 2?
I'd probably go more of like 5-2-3 if that makes sense. Just for the extra security as well. And I'd make sure, and it'd be drilled that if you're attacking down the right, whoever the left of the striker is gets tucked right in with him, and vice versa. If you're down the left, whoever's on the right tucks right in. So you've got that. I think Wayne's probably right. This is where the difference is, right? We're sat here now worried about Traore. And Wolves will be there now going, West Ham get tired. We're bringing him on with half hour to go. And these are the problems we're facing. But I'm picking my team based on him starting. I watched that team against Man City, mate, and they had Man City like we did for Arsenal. They had Man City, the best team, well, one of the best teams in the league, on the back foot for a lot of that second half. And that's a worry. I think they're a great
For me,
side.
mate, when we played them last game, everyone remembers Traore being the one who done the damage, right? But until that point, their midfield overrun our midfield.
Yeah.
And I'd be sort of a bit worried about playing a back 5 and those forward 3 because it leaves us so open in the middle of the park. Mate, at the end of the day, I think we just got to go and I'd roll the dice. It's time now to try and go and get points. And at the end of the day, whether we lose 1-0 or 5-0, it don't matter, mate. I would like to see us just go out there. And what you just said, we're worried about everything they can offer. Let's give them something to worry about. I'd go out there and I'd go 4-3-3 and I'd just take the game to them, mate. I'd just go at them. I'd just proper try and give it to them. And that's what I would do. I'd give them something to think about. And if we've got the wide players in that top 3 and Antonio's one of them on the right, that will cause their wide players to think about who's going in behind them. Let's actually counter what they're trying to do by attacking us. Let's just get in behind them. And all of a sudden, they won't be able to have that freedom of bombing forward anymore because we've got someone in behind them. So for me, mate, I would have enough balls to go, you know what, let's just have a go at this and let's see what we can do. Because of that, the forward 3 for me would be Haller, it would be Antonio on the right, and it would be Anderson on the left, because I'd like to see us for a change be the ones who they've got to think about something. If you've got Antonio on one side, Anderson on the other, and Wright going at them with Haller in the middle, it gives them something to think about, mate.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I just want to say, like, to John and Daniel, what I've said about them filling in, that's for when crosses come in. I don't mean the whole time. And not having any wide players, of course, I think we should have width and we should get balls into the box. So I didn't mean it as in not like that. I'm saying when we attack down the right, let's try and get back up in the middle so he ain't lonesome. Because I think we're not going to have that number 10 in the middle. We're going to have Surchek and Rice who need to be more disciplined, in my opinion. But agreed, if you get the chance to get him in the box, Surchek, another danger and a threat in the air. I didn't mean it as in don't have them out wide at all, always be tucked in. I literally meant if you're breaking down the right-hand side, don't leave Bowen out on the left wing. Tuck him in so he's in with Haller in case there's a flick and it ain't that one-man forward isolated. Because the problem is we can play with wingers and do that to him, but you and I know, because we watch it week in, week out, when he's on his own and it don't go his own way, we're all on his back. And they're the things we can't have. We haven't got that number 10 who sat just behind him that's going to join in. So the person who needs to join in will be one of the wingers. That's my opinion. And
that's the point. If you've got Antonio playing that wide right, he can drift inside. He can play like an inside forward. When you've got the space in behind the fullback, he can pull out wide and he can do damage. And mate, the thing is, I know we all knock Haller. The problem is, mate, we've never got balls into the box to him. We've seen in the cup games and also the game, if you get balls into the box, that man can peel off defenders and get his head on things, mate. He is a great man at climbing for the ball and getting his head on stuff. So, for me, I would see that.
Yeah, I agree with you. And just to make my point the same, people are saying we need wingers. You're right. But that's why we're playing 5 at the back. Wing backs, Masuaku and Fredericks. Let's not forget them. They've got a job to do as well. And when you understand exactly all of it, it makes sense. So that's why it's not Baz is waiting for a winger to score 20 goals or double figures, whatever, and then he'll play with width. We need to play with width. But there's players to do that role, and there's players who... So if we go down the left and Masuaku's gone, that's the reason you've got Declan Rice and Surchek, at least one of them, being so disciplined and not crossing that line to make sure they fill in why he's gone. So you've always got the extra protection of 4 at the back and not just 3 being exposed.
Yeah. For me, mate, all it shows to me is we've got options. And all I want to see, to be honest, I don't care how we line up too much because there's an argument.
Sorry, we've said this. Johnny's so right. Like with Bowen on the left, balls in the middle, Haller in the middle, Antonio the far post. The best we've seen Antonio at West Ham is coming in on that back post. The best we've seen him down that right wing. Yes, he finished the season well last year. The best I honestly have seen that man is him coming in off that wing into the back post. Sorry, I like to jump in.
To me, mate, there's an argument for all angles. There's an argument to line up how we did against Arsenal because it was the best we'd looked for a while. There's an argument to bring Antonio and Haller onto the pitch. There's an argument for Anderson. There's an argument for Bowen. For once, we've actually got something to think about. All I actually want to see is that Moyes has sat down and actually thought about. Well, he's had plenty of time sitting indoors because there's nothing else he can do at the moment. So he's had plenty of time to sit there watching these videotapes. I hope one of the tapes that he was watching 18 hours a day was Wolves and their last few games. And I hope he's really just sat down there and thought, with all the options that we've got, how can we actually give them something to think about? And I'd just really like us to see a lineup that isn't, the same old thing that we see from David Moyes. And, I just want to see him have a go. And I wouldn't be disappointed if we go and go. I don't think a lot of us are expecting anything out of the game, mate. I don't think any of us are sitting here thinking, we really fancy ourselves against Wolves. So let's just try and have a go at them, mate. We're the home team. Let's play like the home team. I don't really want to see a 5 at the back at home. I never want to see a 5 at the back at home. Whether it played into our hands at Arsenal or not, as a home side, it's not for me. Let's just go and have a go at them, mate. We've got all these 8 wingers and loads of attacking options, so let's see some of them played and let's try and have a go and see if we can do something with it, mate. And whether or not that'll happen, I don't know. It's like I say, mate, at the end of the day, I ain't going to sit here saying I'm a football manager because I'm not. I don't know. David Moyes is paid millions of pounds to make that decision. Sometimes you sit here and think, I could have done a better job. But at the end of the day, I'm not qualified to say I want to play this and want to play that. All that I would argue is I think Haller should start because I think he's done enough to start as our main striker. So that would be what I would have. I would have Haller up top. And then you've also got to make an argument that Fornals hasn't done anything on the left-hand side for a long time. He's completely ineffective out there. So the two things I think you have to see Haller up top and you don't want to see Fornals on the left wing. And as long as those two things don't happen, the rest of it, whatever, I'm not too fussed about.
I think you're right. And I think Neil's just made a good point there. And Neil, I'm the same as you, mate. If I see West Ham have a go and get beaten, I can, like Anfield last year, that hurt. And I said that in the video after the game. Getting nothing that day hurt. Arsenal away last year hurt. Arsenal away last week hurt. When you have a go, you can. It's always wrong word. You can accept the defeat. Probably ain't the right word, but if you turn up and you don't even try, and you set out to be on this back foot. Like at Man City, let's not forget, we went to Man City last year and got beaten 1-0 in it to keep, or to whatever it was, 1 or 2-0, to keep the goal difference down. I can't accept that. I can't accept that at all. Have a go. If you get beaten, like you did at Liverpool, or we did at Liverpool, if you get beaten, you get beaten. But get beaten having a go at it. We could have nicked something. If you don't try, you can't get anything. Go at it. Have a proper go at them, like you said a minute ago. Have a go at them on Sunday. If you walk out that game and you've given it your all and you've had a go and we've lost 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 3-1, whatever, a lot of fans will say they showed a bit today. They had a go.
And do you know what? By doing that, mate, even though we've lost, it gives the fans a bit more of a better attitude because we're thinking, well, we can see positives there. You know, the players start to actually believe and think, do you know what, it will come good. All the time you just go through like what we did against Arsenal when you think we had them and then we didn't do nothing and we let it slip. That's what knocks your confidence, mate. That's what hurts you. So anyway, I think we can take some bits from the chat now, mate. So if anyone's got any questions they want to ask or anything they want to throw over to myself or Baz to get an opinion on, do that now. One thing that I wanted to pick up on was David's comment here. Guys, let's be honest, Moyes isn't going anywhere as much as we don't like him. No manager will come. I still believe, and I'm putting my neck on the line and I will keep doing it, I still believe that the plan is in January to bring in Eddie Howe. And I think we'll see Eddie Howe as West Ham manager in January. I really do. We'll see if that comes to light, mate.
A bit of you. I'm going to have a little look, see if there's any specials on William Hill for that.
Shouldn't I? I really do believe that Eddie Howe is already lined up as West Ham manager. It's why we're not spending any money. I think they'll get to the end of Moyes' contract. He'll be banging trouble at the lower bit of the league. I think they'll say, right, you got to go, and Howe will come in. That for me is what's going to happen. And again, I'm not saying I want Howe. I'm not saying I like Howe. I'm not saying I think Howe's the right man for the job. I'm just saying I think that is the plan.
What makes you think that?
Mate, I just think I don't think they could have sacked Moyes at the end of last season. One, he had too good a run of games. He done the job that he was kind of asked to do, and they would have looked really bad. It would have reflected so bad on them if twice they'd brought in Moyes and got rid of him after doing the job that he was kind of told to do. However, I still don't believe that they think that Moyes is the right man for the job. I think we're not. I think we've got such a poor run of games at the beginning here. I think we're going to be well off the pace come Christmas, and I think they'll look at it and think, I've got to make a change. Moyes will go at the end of his contract, which, because it's at the end of the contract, it no longer reflects badly on them, and because we'll probably be in around the bottom three. You know, they'll have every right to do that, and they've always wanted Howe. I think they like Howe. I still think Howe will be sitting there, not in a job in football, and that's the man that they'll bring in. And I think Howe will see it as a step up. I really do. I think he'll see that as a job. I think he'll see it as a dream job. As much as that's mad to say with how bad our club is and how bad our ownership is, I think Eddie Howe will see that as a massive coup for him. I really do. And that's what we all forget. Regardless of how things are, I know it's terrible. I know what we all think. West Ham is still a massive, massive, massive club. And to everyone, I don't care what anyone says, a manager will still, you know, it's still a massive coup for someone to manage West Ham United.
Do you think Eddie Howe's got the capability of rebuilding West Ham? Because I'll be honest, I think if Moyes goes, it's because we're in trouble.
You only had to see from what David Sullivan, he's already setting Moyes up for that fall. He's already saying in one breath, oh, it's the manager's choice. And then in the other breath saying, the players that Moyes wants, I just can't get. And then he's saying, oh, and I could go and sign people now if I wanted to, but Moyes doesn't want them. He is absolutely, in that interview, setting Moyes up for that fall. So you know full well that Moyes is the scapegoat, and come Christmas, he will be out of a job. And the only person I can see coming in, what did Sullivan say the other day? Oh, an English manager. That's what he wants to go back to that old style. He don't want to go that Pellegrini route anymore. Eddie Howe fits the bill perfectly for them, mate. He won't be a lot of money because he won't command a lot of money, and he'll just be the perfect fit, mate. I really do think he will be. And you got to remember, he's also come from a side that didn't have big budgets, didn't really sign big players. He had to work with limited resources. Sullivan, I love that.
Does he? This is with what you're saying. If he's got the capability to rebuild, I think you could be right. I do think that. And the reason why I think that is the time David Moyes leaves will be the time West Ham are in trouble. Like what you just said, they couldn't get rid of him at the end of last season for what he done. They will hang him out to dry, as we heard in Sullivan's interview the other day, and we've witnessed with other managers. Let's not forget that Pellegrini scenario went on for too long. The Slaven Bilic scenario went on for too long. So that's going to happen with David Moyes because it would deflect blame from them what they think. Unfortunately, or fortunately now, I should say, us fans see past that. We didn't back then. We used to blame Bilic for results, a lot of people. Now, we do understand why, and we point fingers at them. So I think the time David Moyes leaves West Ham will be the time we're banging trouble. And that's why I ask, is Eddie Howe a big enough manager, character, coach, whatever, to turn West Ham around and start it again? That's what I ain't convinced of. I don't know if he's got enough about him to build a club of our size, like you just said, what we are. And I do agree with you. West Ham are still, we're not a big club in competition. We're a big club in stature. From our name, from the support, the fan base, parts of the history, I suppose. Not as in big that we're going to be in the running for the top 6 every year. That's never going to happen. All the while we're fans, and all the while they're in charge, that's for sure. So I just ain't convinced he can do that. But I don't make what you're saying wrong. It would make perfect sense. And again, if he's out of work and he ain't been offered a job, he will want money, as David Moyes did. And as we all would, if you're not working, you take what you can. And I don't know. I really don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if the next manager was another older person, if I'm perfectly honest with you. Who? I don't know. Well, I'll tell you what I wouldn't be shocked at. I wouldn't be shocked if Crystal Palace sacked Roy Hodgson and we employed him. Because that would probably suit. No,
Mate,
I'm giving that as an
he'd
example.
never do that. He's doing all right with him, isn't he?
No, of course, but I'm giving it as an example. I think they want, all the while it's them, I think they want an older yes man. And I ain't so sure.
I think they want Howe, mate. I really do.
I
I think they'll see Howe as the man that they could get this Red Bull model crap with. I really do think he is lined up and ready to go. I think he's as much lined up and ready to go as Declan Rice is lined up and ready to go to Chelsea. I think both of those things are prime.
I called for Eddie Howe a while ago. I did, as you know. But the problem for me now is I think the next time we get a manager is the time we're in big trouble. And I ain't convinced Eddie Howe is the man to get us out of that right then. I'll tell you what I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind seeing Eddie Howe partnered with someone. Example, and it ain't the person I want. An example like Sam Allardyce, like Sean Dyche. I wouldn't mind seeing him partnered up with someone like that, who has got that bit of strictness, discipline, won't take no shit from him. I'm not convinced Eddie Howe will stand up to what owns the football club. Yeah, all right, no worries, I'll do that. That's my only issue with him. And I think that's what's going to be needed when you get to the bad times.
In a recent report, mate, Frank Lampard has come out and said that he can't speculate on players that play for other clubs. So at this moment in time, all he can say is that they're rumours. That normally suggests the writing's on the wall, mate, doesn't it? Look at him.
Normally. When you read that, you just know what the next tweet's going to be, don't you?
You do, mate, you do.
It's official.
It's quite frightening, mate, really, the thought of that. With only a few days of the transfer window left to go, it is concerning. You would think that surely after the Diangana dramas, they couldn't possibly imagine doing that because, well, I dread to think what the meltdown would be like then. But you put nothing past them, mate, would you? You wouldn't put anything past them. So
the trust is finished.
Yeah.
Completely finished. And again, mate, this is the same thing. With the manager, why would they not get rid of David Moyes and go and employ Glenn Hoddle?
Yeah.
Someone else who ain't been in the game for ages. You know, I'm giving an example. There must be another manager who commentates every month on or every week on Sky or BT or something who don't do anything. There'll be one of them. Steve McLaren. There you go. Where's he now? He'll be in, right? Someone like him.
We've got away from the chat a little bit there, mate. So apologies to everyone. We ain't going to go all the way back, but feel free to fire away a few questions. We've probably got another 5-10 minutes, so if people want to fire a few away, then go for it. What's your prediction for Sunday, mate? What do you think the scoreline's going to be?
I think a lot will depend on the starting lineup. I think if we play both Haller and Antonio, we'll score. I think if we only play one, we'll struggle. If they both play, 2-1 Wolves. If they don't play, 3-0 Wolves.
Mate, I'd like to think we can nick a draw out of it. I'd like to think we can go and get a point. I think we're desperate for a point, mate. I think the point would be massive for us. Give us something to build on. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 or a 2-2. See if we can, get off the mark and give them a bit of confidence going into the Leicester game. I think the Leicester game's the winnable game. I know Leicester have looked good so far this season, mate, but I think we can have a go at Leicester. So if we can take something out of the Wolves game, even a point, and go into Leicester with a bit of confidence, then interesting, mate. Interesting.
And that's why. So when I said 2-1, I was going to say, I didn't actually say it rightly. If they both play, I think we could draw 1 or I think we'll lose 2-1. I don't think we'll beat Wolves. I think Wolves are good. But like you've just said there, I do think if we can get something from this, you can go and get a result against Leicester. I know Leicester have won the league and I know Leicester get high up quite often. I think Wolves are better than Leicester, personally. I really do. And if you can...
Yeah, I do, mate. I do.
If you can get confidence out of the Wolves result or Wolves game with a result of a 1 or whatever, then have a proper go at Leicester, I think you can win. If you get beaten and think, fuck me, we're second from bottom, -7, we got to keep the goal difference down, we go to Leicester with 1 up, or play Leicester with 1 up front and 5 defenders and sit back and try and keep the numbers down, I think you'll get hurt. And I think that's what's happened to Southampton, if you remember, when Leicester beat them 9-0. From that point, Southampton's season changed last year. That's when they become a side and pushed on. And they finished the season really well, straight after that 9-0 defeat. So,
it's an interesting one here, mate. I really think we need to utilise Antonio to man-mark Traore. If Traore started and was someone that they was using from the beginning, there would be an argument to start Antonio at right-back, mate, to kind of go man-to-man on him, and see if he can... just play as a wing back and try and bully Traore. And Antonio always says how he's the fastest player in the Premier League. It would be interesting to match him up against him. But we all know Antonio will refuse to play as a defender now, and Moyes ain't got the strength to do it. But I don't like that, mate. I think if there was a call, and I'm not saying this is the answer, I'm just reading into what Daniel James has said here. But if you wanted someone to do that job, they should stand up and go, I'll do anything that the team needs. That's the sort of attitude that you should have, regardless of where you want to play me. If I don't want to play there, I'm going to give it me all because that's what the team needs. And I don't think we've got that strength.
Mate, and do you know what you just said there? I completely agree with. And if that was any other player, they'd be hounded. And that's where we're fickle with things. There was a good comment or a good question, mate, from Andy Miles. Afternoon, gents, been working. Only just seen this. We'll catch up later. Sorry if I've not asked. Would you take Danny Rose? Mate, why would we not take Danny Rose? We're desperate for a left back. I'd have him. 100% I'd have him.
He's a weird one, though, isn't he? What's all that he don't like football rubbish? He actually don't like the game and doesn't want to play football anymore. It's a weird man. There's a reason why Jose Mourinho ain't even given him a squad number. Like, that's how bad he is. Mourinho don't even want him near the team. He's not even allowed to train with them. He's like outcast.
Yeah, but then
that's a worry.
He put him out on that video, didn't he? He put it on top of him, and Mourinho don't like anyone who can try and act up to him. That's the difference. That's what
I'm not sure.
James Harris, I think, makes a good point. Masuaku has the pace to keep up with him, just not the strength. Yeah. I agree. That's why I would definitely.
That would petrify me, Masuaku versus Adama, because we know he can't defend. So while and I'm not sure I'd have enough confidence that Masuaku would give him enough to worry about, that Adama would be concerned about going forward too much, because he'd think that geezer's going to get in behind me. I think he wouldn't have any respect for Masuaku whatsoever. So why he's probably our best option to play there with him. It does worry me a little bit still. Thoughts on the youngsters who played in the cup? I think, to be honest, we both said
watching Elise fella. What's his name? You know your mate.
Alessi.
I had to get his name.
Top draw, mate, and I wouldn't be concerned about putting him into our first team at any point. I just think he looks ready, he looks calm and collected, he looks comfortable on the ball. The only thing that disappointed me, he didn't have his best game positionally, and I think that was due to a bit of a lack of experience, and I don't think Balbuena helped him. That was a really inexperienced back line, and I felt Balbuena he's called the general. I thought he was going to stand there and, boss him about and say, you come here, you go there, right, when to go, when to stay, and I thought he was going to command that back line, and Balbuena didn't do it, mate, and I think he disappointed me, Balbuena, for that. I've always not been one of the ones who criticise him too much. I don't think he's a brilliant centre-half, but I feel like he can do a job, but I was very, very disappointed that he didn't have the confidence to command that back line like I thought he should have done. So that was a shame.
I thought the youngsters done well, mate, to be fair. I thought they massive credit to themselves. It's nice to see them come through. And this is sad now, because years ago when we see youngsters come through, we'd all be calling, give them a chance, give them a chance. I'll be honest with you, I don't want to not see him given a chance, because I don't want to see youngsters in the West Ham team. I don't want them to be given a chance, because the chances they get puts value to them. We've seen that with Ngakia. We've now witnessed it with Dean Garner. And these are the things that worries me with it. If I had any confidence in what owned the football club, Alessi, whatever his name is, for example, if he comes out and plays well for the next 5, 6 league games, 7 league games, if he played, come the summer, or whenever, not the summer, the winter transfer window, someone might make an offer for him. Do you trust Golden Sullivan to say, oh, no, we wouldn't want 10 million?
No, not for a second, mate, not for a second.
And that's my fear with it all. That's where I get worried. But that's not saying they're not good enough. Not at all.
Ashby looked really good, mate. Ashby had a really good game. He looked fantastic. Longello was a bit disappointing when he come on. That first goal I put down to him. He was weak with that player there. He had sort of half a yard on him. The sort of guy out-muscled him, sort of did pull him back a little bit, but nothing that would have warranted a free kick. And I just think he got outworked. And the guy got in front of him, ended up putting it through the keeper's legs, but once he got in front of him, Longello give up on him. You see him just let him drift, and he should be doing everything he can to get back. If that ball would have rebounded off the keeper, he should have been back there to clear it out, and instead he's let the bloke go and started drifting into the middle, and he just give up. And I don't like seeing that attitude, and I don't want to see youngsters giving up when they get sort of out-muscled by someone. That's not good. So Longello, why he looked good going forward, for me, defensively looked a little bit suspect, weren't overly convinced. But Ashby looked brilliant. Alessi looked really good. Mate, we're lucky. We've got rid of a couple of youngsters there in Dean Garner and Ngakia, and we've still got other talent around us. Other clubs don't have that. So, we're lucky, and we should start using some of them. I've enjoyed watching the cup games more than I've enjoyed watching the first team. There was more creativity, there was more freedom, there was more confidence. I actually enjoyed the football more from that team than I've enjoyed watching the first team at the moment. So I would definitely use a bit of them,
Yeah, just Kyle, you put it didn't add value to Burke or Byram. You're right, but let's not forget we bought Sam Byram. Didn't come through our youth. Reece Burke, I don't remember him playing too many first team games, if I'm honest. And I did say if he gets in the first team at least and play Alessi, whatever his name is, and plays 5, 6, 7 games, it will add value. The others didn't do that, didn't get that chance. And as I say, Sam Byram was bought. He wasn't a boy who come through our youth that cost them nothing.
Back 4 or 3 for the rest of the season. To me, it depends who you're playing. I think certainly away from home against the big teams, the back 3 looked looked like a really good option, mate. But certainly at home, I don't want to fall into that trap of having a back three even when you're at home against lesser sides. I don't agree with it, and I think we should attack those sides more.
A football club of our size and stature, as we are now, being lower half, well, the bottom half of the table finishers, with that, if your manager knows your formation every single week now, I think you've got big problems and definitely the wrong manager in charge. Now, there's a reason why Man City know theirs. There's a reason why Liverpool know theirs. They've got the players to play them positions. We don't. That's my opinion. We could sit here now, and I believe we should play three at the back. But that's not every single game. I believe Mark Noble has a future playing for West Ham. Not every game. And the reason I say that is because I wouldn't want West Ham to set up with three at the back against Man City, Liverpool, and also against Fulham and West Brom. We should have different formations, different game plans for different games, and games that are actually possible to get something out. If we go to Man City and go there and start with one forward up top, then I wouldn't be so upset. If we go to Fulham, who could be bottom of the league, or West Brom, with 3 or 4 games to go, I'm giving this as an example, I don't know when the fixtures fall, with one up front, I'll be pulling my hair out thinking, why are we doing this in a winnable game? We shouldn't know our formation right now. We don't have a good enough or big enough squad to say we can play 3 at the back all year, or 5 at the back, or 4 at the back. I don't think we can, personally. Not as we are. And I think that's because we're short. We don't have enough cover. We ain't that good. Let's be fair, even Wolves still change up. And Wolves are probably a guaranteed top 10 side.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Who knows, mate? Who knows? All I know is we're still West Ham United, and I'd like us to go and have a go at Wolves on Sunday, mate, and hopefully we can get our season up and running. Because if you don't, and then you go into Leicester and nothing comes from Leicester, we've got 2 double hard games after that, and we don't want to slip away too far behind everyone else, mate, because it'll be hard to catch up. So we need something from somewhere, and we've got to go in Sunday thinking we can get something, mate. We have to.
Can I just jump in, mate? David Trevich just put there, maybe Noble should offer Rice the captaincy in the attempt to keep him to stay with us. David, I don't think you're wrong to a degree, but I don't think it should be Mark Noble who does that. I think the manager of the football club should have spoken to the owners of the football club, or vice versa, and said, we really want that boy to start this club. He plays every single week. Mark won't be. We want Declan Rice to be our match day captain. Make it happen. Mark Noble, you're still the club captain. However, Declan Rice will be match day captain. That's the way you do it. That's where it comes. Mark Noble doing it doesn't show him the football club want him to stay. It shows him Mark Noble wants him to stay. If the owners of the football club, the manager of the football club, put their arm around him and say, dear son, we want you here. This is yours. Along with this contract on the pay rise, X, Y, Z, and another year's deal, blah, 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 because if you've got an extra year on your deal, it only adds to your value. That shows that boy is wanting to stay at the football club. Right now, they've done nothing. All they've done is seen the stories every single day in the press about Declan Rice on Twitter, wherever, the press, social media, X, Y, Z, talking about Declan Rice joining Chelsea. They've allowed that to happen. They've never, ever, ever stepped forward as owners of this football club and said, yeah, they have said, we don't want him to go. Prove you don't want him to go. Show him and us you don't want that boy to leave this football club. Because I'm telling you now, if I'm Declan Rice, right this moment, knowing what's happened at West Ham, I wouldn't believe what they've said, that they don't want me to go. I wouldn't believe it at all. But if they had come to me and said, this is yours, here's an improvement on your wages every week, I'd sit here and think, they do want me here. West Ham do actually want me to stay. I'll give them another year. I don't have to leave right now. No, the deal could be in place for him to join, use it as an example, Chelsea next summer. But he could stay for that extra year. And that year on the contract extension that West Ham Football Club would get would add to his value. That, my friends, is how far behind the owners of this football club are in running a football club this day and age. They are hit.
Totally agree, mate. Totally agree. Couldn't agree more.
That's what we've done wrong. So when people say about Declan Rice leaving, mate, I will stand here or sit here, whatever, and wish that man all the very best. My hand on my heart, and it's sad to say, he deserves better than what West Ham United are offering him. Not from the fans, from what owns the football club.
Right, should we end it there then, mate?
Yes. Thank you all for joining in. Thank you all for your comments, your likes, your shares, your subscribes, XYZ. Trying to get to 3,000 now. We struggled to get to 1,000. We've smashed it to 2. We want to smash it once more again to 3. So if it ain't new, please tell your friends and family. Get us on and tell them to join in, subscribe, XYZ. And we'll keep doing these shows for you. And when's our next phone-in?
Thursday, mate, next week.
Next Thursday.
And that'll be after the Everton game, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah. And
we might even do one for the Everton game. We'll see.
Calling the game. We'll be up with Wake Up West Ham on Monday with our reaction from the game Sunday against Wolves. Feel free to join us. 10 o'clock Monday morning.
One thing we didn't speak about was the secret agent, but how about we just leave it at that and go as quiet as he's gone, mate?
On that note.
Cheerio.
I'm forever blowing bubbles, pretty bubbles.